What's good, y'all? Welcome back to Rick Knows Hoops. I'm your host, Tyreek. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. It's a place where we talk about NBA basketball. So if you love hoops, this is a place for you. And this is another installment of the What's Next series. This is where I talk about what's next for various NBA teams in this coming off season. You know, we just passed the draft. And this one's a little different. I'm going to do two up-and-coming teams in this one video. Two teams that were heavily requested on my Instagram. Y'all should be following me on Instagram. It's always in the description, so go ahead, click that link, give me a follow, because I'll be putting up like questionnaires and stuff, like video ideas and like who should I talk about in the next coming videos. And the two teams that were requested heavily were the Houston Rockets and the Charlotte Hornets. So I want to talk about these two teams, and let's start with Charlotte because some news just dropped on them, which we're gonna get to. But I want to talk about what they did last season, and the draft just passed. They had a very good draft. These two teams were my two biggest winners in the draft. In my opinion, I think they were the teams that drafted the best. They got the best players at the available spots. They traded up to get, other prospects that they really liked. I like what both of these teams did in the draft. And I think the future is very bright. But let's talk about the Charlotte Hornets first. Last season, LaMelo Ball helped, I think rejuvenate this team. A team that was fun the year before in 2019, 2020, but they weren't winning games. But LaMelo brought, winning to this team. He really helped bring winning. Terry Rozier had a very, big-time season. I think he averaged 20 points per game. Even though guys like Devontae Graham took a step back, you've seen growth from P.J. Washington. Miles Bridges found his role in the league. Like, he had a very good season off that Charlotte bench. And the team that, they made the play-in. I believe they were the 9 or 10 seed. And they made the play-in, and before LaMelo went down, they were firmly in the playoffs. I think they were like a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. So they were really battling it out, and they had a real chance of making the postseason without the play-in. Obviously they did not make the postseason, but I think that was a good thing for this team to get experience playing, meaningful basketball with such a young squad, guys taking steps forward. And, LaMelo winning Rookie of the Year and showing that, he is a star in the making. So I think the year that Charlotte had is something that can definitely be built upon. And I think with this NBA draft that just passed last week, they are, they're basically getting building blocks to, further their success. And I really like what they did with the draft. And we're going to start with their first pick in the draft, James Bouknight at the 11th spot. Look, I'm somebody. Bouknight became my favorite prospect in the draft. He's somebody that, is a 3-level scorer. He's a 6'4", 6'5" guard, can really shoot the ball pretty decently. Even though his percentages in college weren't really as great, I believe he has a very good shooting stroke. Can score the ball. I believe he's going to fit well with LaMelo. I think they can place a lot of 3-guard lineups with, Rozier, LaMelo, and Bouknight. I believe he's going to be a very good player in this league. And getting him at the 11th pick, I think, was a steal. I thought he was going to go earlier, like maybe, 6 to OKC or maybe 7 to the Warriors. I thought he was going to go a little earlier, but he slid all the way to 11. And I think that was just a blessing for the Charlotte Hornets, getting somebody to pair with LaMelo Ball in that backcourt. I think that's going to turn out to be a very good pick. And that was just the start of their draft. I believe at 19, the Hornets traded back up, and they got Kai Jones, a big man out of Texas. Kai Jones was somebody who I thought they might have taken at 11, honestly, and they got him at 19. And he's kind of a raw big, but he runs the floor really well. He can finish. I think he has the tools to be a capable outside shooter. I think he can stretch the floor a little bit. I think this is a great pick for a Charlotte team that has had a very bad big man rotation over the last few years. I mean, they've been trying to get Andre Drummond in Charlotte for years. They was probably going to try and get Jared Allen this offseason, throw some money at him. But I think Kai Jones is going to fit this core very well, this young core. And now they finally have somebody that they can probably trust at the 5 spot, further down the line once he develops and stuff. But he's going to have a chance to run with LaMelo, with Terry Rozier and company this season coming up. So that's a great pick for them. Shout out to Michael Jordan has struggled with drafting, but lately, the last few years, he's done really well. He's done really well with the drafting aspect of this team. I got to give him the credit. P.J. Washington, Miles Bridges, LaMelo, of course. And now I think in this draft, he did very well, just picking the right guys. Second round, I think pick 37 it was. They got JT Thor, who was a player out of Auburn, kind of a do-it-all type of guy. he was somebody that was projected to go, maybe late first round. He fell to the second round, and they got him with the 37th pick. That's just a great value pick right there. And they also took Scotty Lewis with the 56th pick. So I think Charlotte, they did a very good job drafting. They were one of the winners, like I mentioned, in this draft for me personally. And I think that is a great stepping stone for this team heading into next season. Let's get to their free agency, though, because there was some news that just dropped, which is kind of interesting, which goes back to some of their draft picks. They are allowing Malik Monk to become an unrestricted free agent. They are not extending the qualifying offer. So he's going to be unrestricted, and this was a top 10 pick. I believe he was a top 10 pick just like 3 or 4 years ago. And now, Charlotte's ready to cut ties. I guess that's why they took a Bouknight at 11. And, they trust other guys in their rotation. I mean, Malik Monk, I think he was suspended for the early part of the season. When he came back, he was playing really good basketball, like probably the best basketball of his career. Like, he was having big games consistently, not just, Malik Monk's the type of guy who have 30 points one game and then give you like 7 the next. But he was consistently putting together a good slate of games. And then I believe he got hurt, and he didn't really catch his rhythm the rest of the season. So now he's going to have the opportunity to, get a fresh start somewhere else. And that's just, the ups and downs of, being a lottery team every year. Is you're going to hit on some guys, and you're going to miss on some guys. And for Charlotte, Malik Monk looks like a miss, but hopefully he can find a role somewhere else in his career. I believe he can be a great sixth man, for a team somewhere. But Charlotte, they have a lot of guards, and Devontae Graham is going to become a restricted free agent, so they can match whatever offer that he gets. I'll be interested to see if he does come back to Charlotte. His role kind of not diminished last season, but the volume definitely was not there like it was the year before, and he took a step back offensively, I would say. Not as great as his 2019-2020 season. So we'll see if he is back in Charlotte this coming season. But really for the Hornets, I mean, it's simple. I mean, you want to get bigs that you can rely on. Maybe you bring back a Cody Zeller or a Biyombo. But, just get somebody that you can rely on because you don't want Kai Jones to be playing the bulk of those minutes all the time. You want to have some vets that have experience that you can, plug in if Kai Jones is struggling or, foul trouble, whatever. You got to have some bigs to lead him along the way a little bit. Some vets. There's going to be guys out there for sure. I'll be interested to see if maybe they're linked to Drummond on a 1-year deal or something like that. We'll definitely see how that plans out. But I think Charlotte set themselves up for success. Very good job drafting. I really like the Bouknight pick. I think he's gonna be one of the best players in this draft. Like, I really do believe that. And him falling to 11 was it was a shock. It was a shock to me for sure. I thought he was gonna go at the earliest 6, but I mean the draft was kind of unpredictable, and I enjoyed the draft a lot. But let's get to the team that I had their shirt on. I have a Harden shirt. Obviously, Harden's not in Houston anymore, but I really like what the Houston Rockets did in this draft. I love it. I love what they did in this draft. They just said, look, we're going to take best player available or guys that we just think is going to fit well with our team. And I think they already have a low-key, exciting young core. Kevin Porter Jr. just trading us, all you had to trade was a second-round pick to get him from Cleveland. He had a 50-point game this season. He had a lot of big-time games. He's the point guard for this team now, and he was exceptional last season. Christian Wood, he was in and out of the lineup, but he's shown that he's a very good big still. Like, he's putting up good numbers when he was in the lineup. Was a most improved player candidate. I think he's gonna be in a key piece to this team's future. They found some guys like diamonds in the rough, like Jayshawn Tate was very good for this team. Kenyon Moore Jr. I believe Mason Jones was somebody that played really well for the team. Like, they found a lot of young guys that just played very good basketball for them last season, even though they were a terrible team. And, they went on like a 20-game losing streak at one point. But the draft was something that I think can be a stepping stone for this team. And as bad as they kind of butchered the James Harden trade, I think they're kind of making up for it because they drafted really well in this draft. And they also brought in some young pieces, undrafted free agents and stuff last year, getting Kevin Porter Jr. They're making up for kind of, butchering the James Harden trade. Like, you should have Jarrett Allen and Karis LeVert on your team, but instead you don't. You traded for Victor Oladipo just to get Kelly Olynyk and Avery Bradley back, but we're not going to go there. We're going to focus on the good. Jalen Green at the number 2 pick, I think that was a no-brainer. I mean, they've basically been linked for the last 2 or 3 weeks, like that's going to be the guy that they take. I like it. I like it a lot. I think he has the potential to be the best scorer in this draft, one of the best players in this draft, if not the best. I think he has that kind of potential. I believe the backcourt of him and Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be very dynamic, and it's going to be a different look. I really think, Houston did the perfect thing with that pick. I think Jalen Green was the guy to take, and I'm excited to see his growth. I'm excited to see him in Summer League, see how he plays. I think he's going to be an exciting player in this league. I really like his shot-making ability, and he's only 19 years old. And shout out to the G League system. I think the G League is going to become a viable option. I mean, it already is kind of a viable option for young players coming out of high school, but I think we're going to see a lot more top prospects take that route, and I love to see that. With their second pick, the Houston Rockets, they traded up. They traded a future first-round pick to the OKC Thunder. OKC getting another first-round pick, and they took a big at number 16, Alperen Sengun. I believe I said that right. What I know about him, they said he's like a Domantas Sabonis type of player. Like, you can run the offense through him at the high post. They said Jokic, shades of Jokic, but I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. That's an MVP. I'll stick with the Sabonis one because he does got, great footwork on the block. From the film that they showed of him, he has great footwork down low. Can pass the ball really well. Can finish on the inside effectively. I think, that's a very good pick right there at 16 because he was, other than Evan Mobley, he was the number 2 big, on everybody's big board. So I think, they did a good job with that pick. And then the one knock on Sengun is that he's not a very good defender. Well, with their next pick at pick number 23, they took Ousmane Garuba from Spain, and he's all defense. He's all defense and energy. So if the Sengun pick doesn't work out, or if his defensive woes are really that bad, you got Ousmane Garuba. I hope I said that right. And he's gonna be that. He can be a defensive anchor for this team. Christian Wood's not the best of defenders, so he brings a different element to that front court. I really do like that pick. And then with the very next pick, they took Josh Christopher, and Josh Christopher was teammates with Jalen Green in high school, and he didn't have a very good freshman season at Arizona State. Was definitely a hype. I don't want to say hyped up, but he had a lot of hype surrounding him coming out of high school. Didn't really live up to those expectations at Arizona State, but I think this is a low risk, high reward pick. If he does work out, then you have just another dynamic guard to run with Green, to run with KPJ. And if he doesn't work out, I mean, you spend a late first round pick on him, I think he'll be okay. But it's good to see he gets to reunite with a high school teammate. That might be able to bring the best out of him because it's somebody that he's competed with and competed, against other people, with Jalen Green as his teammate. So I think, those two getting back together, maybe that can help Josh Christopher get back to his, ways that he was in high school. But I think that's a very good value pick. And I just think the Houston Rockets they walk out of this draft winners. 4 first-round picks. And I think they did their thing with each one of those, man. We talked a lot about the James Harden trade. If that trade is not what, if they didn't get the best return, that's what I'm trying to say. If they didn't get the best return, I think they made up with it by drafting very well. Shout out to the guys in the front office. I mean, this is their first draft, and I think they did pretty well. I'm excited to see this team. They still have John Wall, too. They're going to be trash. They're not going to be a good team, but they're going to be fun. They're going to be very fun to watch. They're going to be up and down the court. I'm excited to watch that team, even though they're going to be garbage, but I think they're going to be a lot of fun. And as for the Hornets, I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be good and fun at the same time. And they got a lot of players on that team that I really do enjoy watching. So a little different here, checking out 2 teams and, what their future looks like. 2 young teams, one team that was pushing for the playoffs last season, the other one hit the full reset. But I think both teams can be very exciting, both this next season and in the years to come. So that's the What's Next series for the Houston Rockets and the Charlotte Hornets. Let me know who y'all want to see next. And make sure you follow me on IG because I'll be asking, who do y'all want to see next all the time. So, let me know. I like interacting and taking y'all suggestions. So make sure to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're new once again. We're almost at 300 subs. So I appreciate the support and the love that y'all been giving me. And I'll be back next time, y'all. Peace.